All right, we're going to now come back and start up. Again, we're being recorded, just so everyone's aware of that. Um, and we're now at section 9 of the bill. This is a section that doesn't apply to any facilities, but requires instead that the long-term care ombudsman, the deputy, and their designees also complete this same training. Okay, so we, as our department, we are not responsible for this piece. This will be a piece that Fred Steele and his team will need to implement. Just so you all know, they will also be receiving training on this same topic. All right, please scroll down to section 10, Kyle. Thank you. So we do need to adopt rules, and here in section 10 is where we have been given rule-making authority to adopt the rules necessary to implement the bill. So that is what we're doing now with you, but just so you know, this is what grants us that authority for this specific law. Scroll down to section 11. All right, the training described in the bill shall first be provided to administrators and staff employed by a care facility. Remember, under the definitions in this statute, that includes out foster homes. You also need to ensure that individuals and staff employed by entities that contract with the care facility, just as we talked about above. What this section's doing is giving us the deadlines. It's saying that the long-term care ombudsman and their staff, they have to receive that training no later than December 31st of next year. And then the trainings that were described right above shall first be provided no later than July 1 of this year. Of next year, I apologize. So that's why we're putting the rules into place on January 1 to try to give facilities time to get your people trained or get them ready to be trained, have designated your 2 or 1 potentially lead person. And then you'll need to have them trained and completing that training by July 1st of next year. And again, we are going to be working with Oregon Care Partners to develop an online training that would meet the requirements of the statute, just so you wouldn't have to go out and figure out how to do that training on your own unless you would like to do that. And if you do want to do your own training, you'll need to send your materials into us for approval before you're going to be able to provide it to your staff. Any questions? Okay, moving along. This last sections of the bill don't actually apply to you folks in the same way or to us in the same way. What these last sections are saying is the Governor's Commission on Senior Services, which is a standing committee that already exists, as probably most of you know, where that group will now be required to form a subcommittee that will focus just on LGBTQIA2S plus issues. So what you're looking at here is actually existing law, but where they're then adding in this new committee that will be a subcommittee of that overarching group. The membership shall be composed of persons broadly representative of major public and private agencies. And I will stop to answer Deb. Deb, what comment would you like to provide, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lynn, you could continue looking at this, but I could talk a little bit about this subcommittee.
Please do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this, as Lynn said, the subcommittee, the Governor's Commission on Senior Services has been in place in statute for quite some time. This particular bill, SB 99, created this subcommittee, and the members of the subcommittee are actually will be appointed by the governor. So that needs to happen by, I believe it's the end of September of next year, if I remember right. So it will be, and it's in the rule of, somewhere below where I can't see. Or I mean, not the rule, but the bill language there. The member opportunities to apply to the governor's office for appointment to that subcommittee. It is open. We'll be sending out some information the governor already has. We'll also be sending out some information in the not terribly distant future to let that opportunity to make that opportunity be more known across our network. But it's out there. You can apply if you are interested. There are some membership considerations in the bill that you might want to read if you're interested in that. But it will be a 9-person board, and we are not adopting rules around that. There's no particular need for the agency to adopt rules. Statute has been changed. And so, again, if anyone is interested in that, you can go to the governor's website and to their boards and commissions page specifically and look for that. Or, like I said, we'll be sending out information, or you can contact one of us and we're happy to connect you. Thank you, Lynn.
No, thank you. That was a great summary. So go ahead, Kyle, and please keep scrolling down. And yes, as you'll see, okay, and a little bit more and stop. This was existing statute because it did deal with the Governor's Council on Senior Services. And then what they're doing here is simply they're deleting numbers and things because they're now going to create this subcommittee in statute that, again, will be a member of the overarching board. And this commission, this describes what that group will do. Keep scrolling down. Yeah, let's just go all the way to the bottom for a minute because it's kind of what, there we go, membership, here we go. Stop. Thank you, Kyle. Perfect. The subcommittee is established. So this is new language. And the intent was to create this committee that could work to improve state agency interaction and communication with and support of the LGBTQIA2S+ community and create advocacy opportunities for those folks. So that is the stated purpose of this subcommittee. Again, as Deb just put it, it's going to have 9 members. Their goal is to advise the governor. Keep scrolling on down. Kyle will see the rest of the requirements. And at least 5 members of the subcommittee must be individuals who identify as LGBTQIA2S+, including at least 1 member who identifies as transgender. Members must be supportive of the intent of this legislation. Members of the subcommittee serve for a term of 3 years and may be reappointed. They are not entitled to compensation, but may be reimbursed for actual and necessary travel and other expenses.
Audio is out, Lynn. And we know it comes back in about 10 to 15 seconds. Thanks for being patient, everyone. Nothing yet. I know it's almost here. You're starting to come back.
How am I back now?
And you're back at 4.
And yeah. I'm back. Oh, we're fixing this. I don't know what it'll take. All right, folks. That's so much fun, isn't it? Anyway, so it again includes in the work of the committee the same definition that we saw up at the beginning of the bill. Just reiterating, this is the audience that will be represented by this commission. Please keep scrolling down, Kyle. So the governor shall appoint those members, as Deb just said, no later than September 1st of next year. And that, my friends, is the end of the bill. So again, this last section is not one that any of us need to write a rule for. It's just one that we wanted you to be aware of. You may well have residents interested in serving on this committee, or staff and people who can meet the requirements. That's what the governor will be looking to appoint. So I'm seeing something. I can tell there's something else in the chat, but I can't get to the chat. There we go. Okay, now I can.
Read it to you.
All right,
Okay.
yes, please. No, go ahead.
All right, so this is Eleni. This is from Ken Ralph. Can you clarify the requirements in section 11? All folks in the home, contractors, all staff, etc., must be provided the training by no later than December 31st, 2024. The requirement of the administration or management and one staff member must be in place by July 1, 2024.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, Ken. You're absolutely right. If you look at this, section 11 has again all the definitional pieces, right? And it's basically saying that the section 6.4 that's listed in paragraph 2 that says July 1, that's the date you have to have designated your 2 lead people. All right, that's July 1st. The training needs to be in place by December 31st. So we are actually looking, therefore, in this bill at 4 different timelines, right? First one is January 1, we have to have some rule in place. The second definition applies to all of you specifically and says you have to have designated your 2 lead people by July 1st. The next deadline is September, I think 1st, for the governor to have appointed all the members of the commission. And by the end of the year, or December 31 of next year, you will have needed to have all of your staff have completed the training. Does that make sense? Ken, thanks for clarifying. Okay, are there any other questions about this at this time? About the language, about what we're trying to do, and we do want your help on helping
Lynn.
us. Yes.
It looks like Deb has her hand up.
Really? Okay, I believe you, and I just can't see her. Okay, Deb, yes.
Sorry, Lynn.
No,
I
not at all.
I apologize. I'm working from a particularly small screen today, but if we scroll up a little bit, I believe that those training requirements for designating two folks also include some development of a training plan. So I think that's part of the reason for the difference in time. You identify those folks and then work on a training plan.
You are correct.
And
That's right.
then that
yeah.
training needs to be implemented a little bit farther down the road.
Good clarification. Again, as we go through the rack, we will be clear as we do each piece. Can you go up to section 6, please, for just a minute, Kyle? There yeah, a little bit, and there we go. Okay, no, it was the records. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Keep going up, please. And there we go, section 6, right? Not paragraph 6. Perfect. Yes, this is the one that, again, outlines all the training that has to be completed. And then as we go down, as Deb was saying, we're going to have those timelines that you will need to have your 1 or 2 people in place with a training plan on how you're going to roll it out with your staff, right? So that by July 1, you know what you're going to do, and you've outlined that training course. Then by the end of the year, you need to have trained all of your people. Is that how we doing? Okay. Well, unless there are additional questions about the statute itself, I'm going to ask that Kyle stop sharing the statute, please, and allow David to share. There we go. And if David, you can make that a little bigger. I want it again. And what he's doing is just showing you on one page. Again, these are the official members of the RAC, of the Rule Advisory Committee. And if you scroll down just a little bit, David, to there we go, adult foster home folks, boom, that's good. You'll see that you have a number of people who have agreed and to serve as representatives for your group on our official committee. And I want to thank all of them for being willing to do that. We also have right below that, stop please, right there, we've got Alyssa and Stephen, who also has both put in comments today, are also agreeing on their capacity to serve on the RAC. So here's what I would say to all of you. We really do want feedback. We want to know if the rule is going to make sense. Is it easy to understand? Are you able to implement it? So as we send out language or work on this rule, you can contact any of those folks as your representatives and tell them what you think. You can always send emails directly to me, Lynn Beaton. I'm the one who sent out the emails initially, and I will be facilitating the full rack as we go through the rulemaking. You can also send it to Lynette, Elaney, or Kyle as the folks you work with most frequently here who are in the adult foster home program. So as you think of things you might want to see in the rule, if you're not already one of our RAC members, we still want you to know you absolutely have the opportunity to provide comment. You also can still keep showing up at the RACs and just listen. And then we will have a section that will just be generally open to the public in each rack, because generally through the rack, it will only be all of these rack members who will be speaking. And there's quite a group of them. So we're going to have to stay fairly efficient in how we use our time. But we also want you all to be able to be there to listen to it firsthand if you would like, provide comments in the chat, and then be able to speak once we get to the section for just public comment. So I just wanted people to know that. But that was why we were meeting first just with you folks, to give you an opportunity to talk when it's other folks mostly on this rack with whom you're familiar, who might have similar interest to your interests. So, are there any other questions? Okay. Then I'll let you know that what we do now is we need to send a list of everyone who was here. We're required to do that to a rules coordinator who's in our main office. We also send the clip of the recording, and she posts both pieces of information. And I, of course, do not know exactly how you would access that. That would have been helpful for me to have today. But we will find out, and we will send this out to all of you, so that if you want to hear the recording and or see who else was here and who else was present at the rack, that's public information and you're allowed to see that. Otherwise, the next time you would hear from me, if you want to stay on the rack, we will be sending out a notice tomorrow of the fact there will be a rack on November 7th. But I wanted to know first who would be attending this rack so that I can continue to send it to you if you wish, the notification. Next week, staff are going to take all the comments we received in the first meeting, the first rack, as well as what we've heard here today. We are going to attempt to draft or edit a rule that we'll then send out next week for all of you to look at before the next rack on November 7th. So the idea is to give you time to look.
Your audio just dropped, Lynn. Keep talking. I think I heard a glimmer. It's slowly coming back.
They've tried everything they can.
And you're back.
Thank you very much. This is our 6th attempt to fix it. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, that's I was just saying, yep, we try to provide a lot of opportunity for comment. And if you all still would, I mean, you will all receive an invitation to the next rack because you were on this rack, unless you specifically tell me you do not want to include or continue to serve on the rack or to be here. Again, you don't need to serve as a member. You can come and listen should you want. Is that clear, sort of? I don't know where I lost you. Did I lose you? Just to reiterate, we, the staff, are going to take all the comments we've heard to date from these first meetings, and we're going to draft a rule, and you will be presented with that rule by November 7th for that opportunity to comment. All right. Going once. Is there something else in the chat? Looks like there might be. I'm going back in.
Nothing that needs attention,
Nope,
Lynn.
got it. Just email addresses. That's nice. All right. Well, then with that, the last thing I would like to say is if you have a spam filter that makes it difficult for us to reach you, Oh my gosh, I've been working with Kyle and Eleni to send all of you messages. Now, ironically, of course, the people who got it are the ones who are here. But we've had hundreds of people who are still working bounce back that we can't reach because of spam filters, we believe, at their own facilities. So this is just an encouragement. If you think that you might have trouble getting information from us, please check with your organization's IT group to find out if we show up as spam. Because according to my emails, I lose a few hundred of you every time I send this out. And there are a little over, I think, 500 folks we were trying to reach initially. So just a plea to please make sure that we can actually reach you. That's always helpful. Any last question or comment? Well, you've been a quiet but a delightful group, so thank you. And if you have any questions following the meeting, please do reach out to me, Lynette, Eleni, or Kyle. I'm putting all of our names out there. So there we go. With that, I will sign off and thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you.